Yeah, hi Medard. Happy holidays. And this is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And good to hear from you. So looks like you just completed the final pre-test for my class. So what I want to do now is to, actually you completed the post-test, right, for my online TOEFL course. And I'm going to go ahead and listen to it. As I listen to it, I'll probably stop the video every now and then to give you some suggestions, and at the end of the video I will give you an intelligibility score. I'll also make some final recommendations of some long-term problem areas that you want to continue to focus on. Alright, here we go.
Well, good morning, Michael Bogov. This is my post-test for Speak Clearly, lesson 49.
So what you're going to do right now, you're reading the 3 specific passages at my website, and then you're answering the 3 questions.
In passage 1, when 2 people are talking to each other, they tend to stand a specific distance apart. Each person has an invisible boundary around his or her body into which other people may not come.
Okay, so far not bad. Probably you could work a little bit on your blending, but still, let's listen some more.
If someone pierces his boundary, he will feel uncomfortable and move away to increase the distance between them.
So what I'm talking about when I say blending, for example, these 2 words here, you say move away. However, because this is all one thought group, we want to link these words together to say move away. So you would read it to say he or she will feel uncomfortable and move away to increase the distance between them.
A major exception is family members and other loved ones. This personal distance is not due to body odor or bad breath, but because closeness lends a sense of intimacy that is at odds with the relationship to the other individual.
Okay, so that's really probably the main thing with this particular reading is you want to keep working a little bit more on your blending. All right, let me scroll down, bring up the next passage that you're going to read.
Reading passage 2. Interestingly, the average personal distance varies from culture to culture.
And I think the word here, you want to pronounce that V a little bit more. Varies. The average personal distance varies from culture to culture.
Americans tend to require more personal space than in other cultures.
Now, I think that word personal, let me go back and listen to that one more time.
The average personal distance varies from culture to culture. Americans tend to require more personal space than...
Yeah, don't forget the S in there. Personal.
In other cultures. Therefore, if you try to get too close to an American during your conversation, he or she will feel that you are in his face and will try to back away.
Again there, back away. You want to blend those together. Those 2 words are within the same thought group. So you'll say, and we'll try to back away. Also the pronunciation of the word American. It's not American. It's American. So you can keep working a little bit more on that R sound.
Try to be aware of this. So if the person to whom you are speaking backs away a little, don't try to close the gap.
Okay, this particular word, this is the vowel sound, the I. It's try to be aware of this. this, not these, but this, it, is, this. All right, let's keep going. Let's go to the next one.
Also, try to avoid physical contact while you are speaking, since this may also lead to discomfort. Touching is a bit too intimate for casual acquaintances, so don't put your arm around his, her shoulder. Don't touch his, her face or hold his, her hand. Shaking hands when you initially meet or part is acceptable, but this is only momentary.
All right, let's go to your part B. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to the main page. I know that you've left me one more Voxy Pop recording. Okay, so we see speak clearly lesson there. Okay, here you go again, post-test, 16 hours ago. You said, this is my second attempt of my post-test. The previous recording was suspended by a call I received in the office. Please grade this one. Uh-oh. Looks like I just... All right, let's listen to it one more time.
Well, good morning, Michael Bogov. This is my post-test. Speak clearly. Lesson 49. Reading passage. When two people are talking to each other, they tend to stand a specific distance apart. Each person has an invisible boundary around his or her body into which other people may not come. If someone pierces this boundary, he will feel uncomfortable and move away to increase the distance between them. The major exception is family members and other loved ones. This personal distance is not due to body odor or bad breath, but because closeness lends a sense of intimacy that is
lends a sense of intimacy
to other individual. Interestingly, the average personal distance varies from culture to culture. Americans tend to require more personal space than in other cultures. Therefore, if you try to get too close to an American during your conversation, he or she will feel that you are in his face and will try to back away. Try to be aware of this, so if the person to whom you are speaking backs away a little, don't try to close the gap. Also, try to avoid physical contacts while you are speaking, since this may also lead to discomfort. Touching is a bit too intimate for casual acquaintances, so don't put your arm around his, her shoulder. Don't touch his, her face or hold his, her hands. Shaking hands when you initially meet or part is acceptable, but this is only momentary. Well, my best friend is probably one of my classmates with whom I study about 10.
All right, so now you're answering the 3 specific questions at the end in part B.
Years ago, and we graduated the same year from high school of statistics and econometry. Since then, we started our first job in the Ministry of Finance since 2003, and we worked together for about 7 years before.
Yeah, I would say there, when you use the word since then, that kind of forces you to use the present perfect tense. Okay, hold on a second. I'll be right back. Medard. So that's kind of a problem with your using past tense versus present perfect tense verbs. So let's just think about it. So since then, my friend and I have done various things together. Or if you want to use a simple past, say after that, then we started. So you have to be careful about those signal phrases you're using because they can control the verb tense.
Left to gain actual position abroad. However, this did not break our relationship since we are still in touch and we always communicate with internet and phone.
So I'd say since we communicate maybe because of the internet or the phone.
In 5 years to come, I hope to be taking a leading position in academia after having completed my PhD in economics.
Hey, that was good grammar. So after having completed my PhD, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You're using a present, what's called a gerund, but a gerund which is a passive gerund, but you're talking about something in the future.
In one of the prestigious university in Europe or in America.
So in your natural conversation, when you're speaking naturally like you are right now, so you're having some minor problems with pausing. When you're thinking about things to say between one idea and the next, you have some awkward pausing in there, which is actually nothing unusual. For TOEFL speaking, you want to minimize that type of pausing or those hesitations.
I'm trying to improve my proficiency in English in order to be admitted for my PhD.
And you know, you've worked really hard. I've been pretty amazed at how much improvement you've made because the pronunciation area, I think, of your speaking has been really your biggest battle. Now, you're still not perfect, but I still think that you've gone a long ways in terms of speaking much, much more clearly now than what you've done in the past.
My favorite season is certainly the dry season, which begins in January in my country. More often, I take my annual leave in January during dry season, which is the best time to travel to the countryside and relax with your relatives in village and other part of my country. The reason why this season is my favorite season.
Okay, so you're done with that. Now what we want to do is I want to take a look at your intelligibility right now and looking at the website. I'm going to go over some things I think that you can focus on a little bit more. Okay, so let's go over to... Okay, so we're looking at the Speak Clearly part of my online TOEFL course. Now, your strategy, Medard, for the TOEFL speaking is this. You still have a fairly heavy accent. Now, in terms of intelligibility, I can understand most of what you're saying, but what you want to do during the TOEFL speaking is make sure you are really, really well organized. You have really good control of your grammar and your vocabulary. And you have nice, specific details to support your generalizations. You have to do really well, I think, in the language use and the topic development areas of your speaking because you still have a little bit of a weakness, I think, with your pronunciation. So your goal is to make The grammar and the language use, very, very high. Do really well in that category, and then do really well in your topic development. So if you do score a little lower in your pronunciation, it won't bring your overall speaking score down too much. All right, so let's take a look at your intelligibility score. I'm going to click on a document for just a minute here, go over a couple of things with you. Okay, so I'm going to okay, here we go. So I'm going to put you, I think right now, the highest you can get, 7.0, which will be near native speaker. Advanced, I think you're getting close to that. I'm going to put you at about 4.9. I'm going to put you at about 4.9 out of 7. So let's take a look at what that means. So you have obvious accent and pronunciation variations, but these do not interfere with understanding and are rarely distracting. You have a variety of grammar with occasional grammar errors. You can respond to questions with sustained and connected discourse. You have pretty good control of your vocabulary. So if I score you in the 5 area, you want to be around 5.1 or higher. A student has a barely detectable accent. I'm going to say, I don't think you're quite there yet. Okay, so right now, I'm going to put you at 4.9 out of 7 on my, according to my intelligibility scores. Now the next thing is, what are some additional lessons, maybe, that you can focus on that can help you continue to get the improvements that you need to make? I would say I'd like to have you take a look at, where is it? Which one? I think Speak Clearly lesson number 11, I think. I want you to review this. This is a recurring type problem for you. It's the beat, bit, it. The bit, it. That particular vowel sound you're having more trouble with. For example, the word this. You might say this, instead of this, it, this. So what you're doing right now in your pronunciation, you're substituting the longer vowel for the shorter vowel. That's kind of what you're doing in your pronunciation. So again, Speak Clearly lesson number 11, I think would be important for you to take a look at. Okay, let's keep going at my course. Syllable division, I think you're okay. Word stress, I don't think there's any major problems there. Sentence rhythm, not bad. Intonation, I think, is still a bit of a struggle for you, so I'd like to have you continue as you practice. Just keep, as you're practicing your speech, you have to pay a little bit more attention to your intonation. So typically, you want to vary your intonation a little bit more than what you're doing, but I still think you've made some improvements in that area. And the other thing I think would be important for you right now is my Speak Clearly lessons number 41 through 44, particularly blending. You're identifying effectively your thought groups and when you need to pause. But you're not really blending the different sounds of the different words together within the particular thought group. So what you want to do is, for example, you remember the word back away, move away. You have a tendency to say back away. A native speaker would most likely say back away. Instead of saying move away from the car, you might say move away from the car. I would say the professor handed out the papers to the students. You might say the professor handed out the papers to the students. So you're still a little bit too careful in terms of your pausing and your blending. So, and the reason I mention that is if you improve your blending, it helps you to speak a little more quickly, a little more fluently than what you're speaking right now. So that would be my recommendations based on the post-test. And anyway, keep up the good work. As always, it's an honor to listen, to some of your pronunciation or your speaking post-tests. And by the way, you probably already know, but I just created, I think last week, another 300 additional independent speaking topics. So you can begin posting some of those at my VoxyPop discussion groups. Now remember, at my 7-step VoxyPop group, you can only post 1 practice test per day. But I'd also recommend, Medard, that you start using my Better TOEFL Scores talk group. And you can post as many practice tests there as you like. They're not going to be graded, but still it would be really good practice for you to get ready for the speaking section of the TOEFL IBT. All right, so I guess this brings to the conclusion the post-test that you just took. Anyway, have a great day and happy holidays.